Hi, this is Artie Pecoraro again. This is part two. My battery wore out in the last one, so about Ocean Gate, so I'm going to continue right here, part two. And let's see, I was talking about the Tarzan place, and at that time also the train station wasn't there, but the remnants of it were. I think the building that's the Historical Society now, this is 2012, used to be the train station, and it was still there. It was on Bayview Avenue, right on the corner of Lakewood Avenue. At the time, it was across the street from the post office. On that corner, it was on the southeast corner. And there were a lot of cinders around. There were a couple of trees there too that had these long green things about this long, looked like gigantic string beans, and we used to call them punks. We used to pull them off the tree and light them and put them in our mouths like cigars and to keep the mosquitoes away. They didn't work that great, but they worked okay. And also at that time, the Palm House Bakery in Ocean Gate was working, and it was pretty big. Well, it was the same size, but it did a lot of business. They used to have, seemed like 3 trucks this is unbelievable. These trucks would carry pastries around the town and stop on the corner and sell them to people. So you would your mother would go out and maybe buy like a dozen donuts from this truck, like you would go to the ice cream truck or something. And they used to have these long, rectangular-shaped donuts with cream inside that everybody in town thought they were the most delicious things they ever tasted. And I've never really seen anything like them since. Well, I've seen things like them, but never tasted anything like them. Anyway, the Palm House Bakery is there. They had these bakery trucks that went around all around town. There were some houses in Ocean Gate didn't have gas, like to cook or anything like that. They had these called natural gas. It was a big tank, looked like an oxygen tank, maybe about 4 feet high, a foot in diameter. And they would hook these up at the outside of the house, and then that would bring the gas into your house for cooking or whatever. A lot of houses didn't have heat because they were summer houses. And the gas company that sold these things, their trucks, which looked like, they were small trucks, maybe more looked like a van. And they were powered by natural gas. They had these tanks, smaller ones though, maybe about as big as your leg from the knee to your foot, and they would be underneath the trucks that would power these trucks so that they could go. And they didn't use regular gas. And also they sprayed at that time for mosquitoes. You were allowed to use, I don't know if they spray anymore, but at that time you were allowed to use kerosene and DDT, I think it was. So they used to hook this big tank, it's about maybe this big, to the back of the garbage truck, because at that time the garbage trucks were like a platform with sides, and they would hook this up to the back of the garbage truck and drive around town and spray this stuff out, and it would come out like a gray, sort of like a gray cloud. It was maybe 20 feet long, behind the truck. And a lot of kids would ride their bikes behind it, gangs of kids, and breathe this stuff in like crazy. I mean, we must have been out of our minds. Of course, nobody knew at that time, but a lot of people did that. And they used to spray every night for the mosquitoes in Ocean Gate. Of course, it didn't seem like it ever did any good, because there were mosquitoes like crazy all the time. And when I first got to Ocean Gate also, there were a lot of empty lots, especially on our side of town, by the second pier. A lot of empty lots. Some of them were marshes, like out by the AT&T stuff, and some of them had been filled in with the gravel that's usually the houses are on now, and you could get pollywogs in the water that was over there. Pollywogs are like little baby frogs before they're frogs. And even in the bay, there was like these little baby eels. They'd be about this long and, oh, maybe about maybe twice as thin as the lead in a pencil. And you used to be able to just pick them up with your hand in the water. There were also tons of, I don't know if they were grasshoppers or locusts all over the place. You know, every single night and day all around your house, jumping on the foundation of the house. There were always the mosquitoes, of course, and we also had septic tanks and what do you call the other things? Not sewers back then, cesspools. And a lot of times they would overflow in your backyard, a lot of people's backyards. And you know, this liquid waste at least would be in your backyard, and it was kind of gross. In the on the other end of town, by the first pier, that didn't happen too much because it was a lot higher. But the water table was a lot, we were like lower on the water table at the second pier side of town. So this happened pretty often in a lot of houses. So a lot of people didn't always flush their toilets unless they absolutely really had to. And that was a little gross, but it was something you could live with. Let's see what else would be interesting to you guys. There was practically nothing in the town, but there were two barber shops, the Anchor Inn, which was a bar, and there was another bar on Monmouth Avenue and Bayview Avenue. It was called George's at the time. And there weren't really supermarkets anywhere then, not much. And so there were a lot of corner stores in most cities, corner grocery stores. And so in Ocean Gate, we had two summer grocery stores, one on the corner of Monmouth Avenue and Anglesey, that was John's, and then one on the corner of Stone Harbor and Bayview. I don't even remember the name of that one. And then there was one called Fils's. Well, there were two on Ocean Gate Avenue, Fils's, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But they were both on Ocean Gate Avenue. And I was never there when this place was open, but right on the corner of Bayview Avenue, diagonally across from the Anchor Inn on Ocean Gate Avenue, there was a donut shop. But when we started going there, that donut shop was already gone. And the yacht club was always there. And there was also a recreation center, I don't know if it's still there, that was on Wildwood Avenue at the corner of Longport. And you could go there and play pool or ping pong or croquet or basketball or tennis, and they had games and stuff that you could get to, and there was usually somebody there watching. At the time, mostly when I went there, it was one of the gym teachers at Central, Mr. Braun, that's who it was, the name of the guy who used to take care of it. And they had weights there, so you could lift weights. There's only one set, but so mostly people didn't do exercise. Mostly people tried to see how much they could lift. And there was also a place called Kelly's, and it was on Bayview Avenue at the beach. It was basically a picnic place that also sold crab bait. And I think it's a parking lot now. It was on Bayview Avenue, right between Long Branch and Wildwood Avenue. And you would go there to buy your bait. There would be people there going for the day for picnics that didn't live in Ocean Gate. And you could rent boats then. You had them out on